How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at my newest Dollar Tree movie haul. This is, I believe, part 34. We're really starting to get up there, and it is kind of getting a little hard to keep track of what number we're on. But why we've gone on so far is all thanks to you guys. I usually like to begin these videos by saying the Dollar Tree hauls are the most successful series I do, and that's all thanks to you guys. So right off the bat, I want to say thank you to everyone who's liked, commented, subscribed, and, you know, if you came and watched the video, thank you. It's really helping me out. Now, I do want to begin, just get this up right off the bat. These are smaller movies this time around. Dollar Tree did a good job at getting more movies out there sooner than they typically had been, but there's nothing super big in here. I know some of you guys watch this for, like, the hidden gems, you know, like, oh, they have Child's Play in there for just $1, and, you know, every now and then Dollar Tree does that, but we are just, B movies this time around, so if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. But we have 11 films. 8 of them are going to be horror movies because that's just me. I'm a horror geek. I have 2 sci-fi movies and 1 heist movie as well. So 11 DVDs to take a look at. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. This first one I'm really excited about. The Devil's Fairground. Look at that cover. Welcome to the gateway to hell. Isn't that cool? Flip it to the back, and it talks about how there's 2 competing paranormal television shows, and they both happen to be doing an episode on the same abandoned amusement park on the same day, so they're bumping into each other and their rivals. But turns out the park is really haunted, and it's a gateway to hell. That sounds cool. I'm wondering if it's going to be found footage because they talk about paranormal shows, but I do like the idea it's 2 of them in their rival shows. That's just funny to me, and it takes place at an amusement park, so that is pretty cool. I do love amusement park horror movies. There's the disc, same as the front. Now, if any of these movies, if you guys have seen them, I'm always curious to hear what did you guys think of them. Sometimes there's a movie I don't think is going to be that great, and then you guys recommend it and say, oh yeah, watch that one first. And then, of course, there's other times where I think a movie's going to be awesome, and then you guys tell me it's not great. But if you have seen any of these, definitely let me know. Moving on to another interesting one. Antrum. Antrum? Not quite sure how to pronounce that. Antrum, the deadliest film ever made. Watch it if you dare. And you flip it to the back, and it talks about how this movie is made in the style of a lost 70s film. So I don't think the film is really a lost 70s film, but it's pretending like it's this lost, cursed horror movie that they just found and put on DVD. And it's about 2 kids who have a recently deceased pet, and they go to the Antrum to bury it. However, this is, according to legend, the spot where the devil fell to earth after being cast out of heaven, and the children begin to dig a hole. Okay, there's a lot to that concept. You know, an interesting movie as well, but the style of a lost, cursed 70s horror film, this sounds really interesting. I'm hoping it lives up to that concept. It's a pretty cool idea, you know, the film in the style of a lost horror film. That's a neat idea. Up next, we have Animal Among Us. I kind of wonder if that title's supposed to be a reference to the video game Among Us, but probably just a coincidence. But you see, it's a camp movie. I always do love horror that takes place at summer camps. But it talks about on the back, 15 years ago, 2 girls were mysteriously murdered at the Merrymaker campgrounds, and they believe it was an animal, but the animal was never found. But of course, this is the present day, and some people are going back into the woods. This also has a director's commentary on it. I really do love director's commentary. So I'm wondering if it is going to be an animal, because it really does sound like a Friday the 13th style slasher movie. So slasher or creature feature? I'm kind of curious, but it is a camp movie, so that's cool. Although I do want to say, sometimes creature features do feel a little bit like slashers, if they're just, all about the kills and picking up off people one by one, like Humanoids from the Deep. Creature feature, but it really does feel like a slasher, right? Up next, kind of a mockbuster coming up here. This is Don't Speak, and it's this guy, and you get this alien over him, and I'm wondering if this is going to be like a mockbuster of like A Quiet Place or something. That's what it really looks like. Flip it to the back, and it talks about how Rita takes her family to visit her dying father, but something got out of a lab in the city where he lives, and everybody is dead, and they have to figure out a way to survive the creature. And granted, how this movie is called Don't Speak, I think I know how you can survive this creature. But anyway, I'm curious how much of a mockbuster it will be. There's the disc there, which kind of fun. They have a unique photo for the disc, which I always do appreciate. The creature there looks a little bit like the xenomorph from Alien, huh? But anyway, I am kind of curious how much of a mockbuster will this be. Was it just the marketing team that did the title and was like, hey, pitch it as a mockbuster? I don't know, but I'm kind of curious about this one. Gotta love creature features. But speaking of mockbuster, the Manson family massacre. Once upon a time in Beverly Hills. So, trying to cash in a little bit on the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood thing, which was also about the Manson family. And not really trying to mimic it visually, but you do have this tagline to remind you that it's the same thing. By the way, if you guys haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, really great film, but that's more of a Hollywood slice of life film and not really a horror movie. This one is the horror movie. Look at that cover, that's pretty cool. Flip it to the back, and it talks about the Manson murders, but it says that 20 years later, Margaret Levine moves into the house to record her album when Ghost of the Killers show up and attack her. So, sort of taking a true crime thing and reinventing it as a ghost thing. Now, one thing I noticed here, Lee Bain is listed in the credits. Lee Bain is involved in the Robert the Doll movies, which would point to this being a micro-budget British film, but you can't really get around the American setting when doing true crime, so I am curious what this one's gonna be like. Anyway, there's the disc, same at the front, from Ford Digital Media there. And moving on to the next one. This one, Penance. He made them pay for their sins. And if we look up at the top, it stars Tony Todd, the Candyman himself. And this is apparently some kind of limited edition, although it doesn't list bonus features on the back. Anyway, it talks about how this young mother becomes a dancer to earn extra money. However, there is a serial killer that's going to kidnap her and make her pay for her sins. He's a punishment-themed serial killer. I'm wondering if that'll be Todd or if he'll be like a cop or something. It doesn't say who he is. And then we open it up, and the disc is pretty similar to the front. But yeah, sort of a true crime-styled slasher. See, you get these movies, and it's kind of hard to say, where it's like a true crime serial killer investigation movie. It's not quite a slasher, but you're not sure going in if it's going to be one or the other. Oh, here's an interesting one. Up next, A Killer Next Door, the true story of John List, so based on a true crime story as well. However, I don't know how close it'll be to reality, but it talks about how there's this guy who killed his wife, mother, and 3 children and disappeared without a trace. But one day, when watching America's Most Wanted, the neighbors begin to think that their neighbor is the mysterious serial killer who disappeared all those years ago. I think this is actually the same story that inspired The Stepfather. I'm not sure. But yeah, The Stepfather, he had disappeared and started up life with a new family, and then people saw his face on TV. But yeah, I think it's the same story, but I don't know how true the second part will be, because I think they just called the police. I don't think they did this whole elaborate spying thing, but we'll see how this one turns out. But cool to see. That kind of makes it an unofficial Stepfather movie. By the way, the Stepfather movies are really great, or, well, at least the first one is. Anyway, moving along to the last horror movie I have here, and the only one with a slipcase. This is Survival Games. And you get these two with this big, almost Lovecraftian monster above them. Win or die. Flip it to the back, and it talks about how the year is 2072, and there's 12 contestants in this crazy game show where if you get eliminated, you have to go into virtual reality and fight your worst fears, where you'll probably wind up dying. So a sort of game mixed with crazy virtual reality, so you can probably do any kind of wacky scare here. It says it's copyright 2011, but it almost looks like it could be a Squid Game mockbuster with these little faces, so I'm wondering what it's going to be like. Anyway, take the slipcase off, cover is the same underneath, and same for the disc here. So, an interesting, you gotta love that game subgenre of horror movies. You know, it's like, you know, you get tempted in with all this money to play this deadly game. There's quite a few of those. But anyway, on to that heist movie. This one is called Headhunters, and you flip it to the back, and it talks about how there's this guy who's an art thief, and he finds out about this guy that has a super rare painting that he wants to steal. But he goes in to try to steal it, and finds out the guy who owns it is actually super scary, and he's got himself caught up with this weird and crazy thing, apparently. So maybe there'll be a horror element to this one, I don't know. The disc is actually original cover art there of him adjusting his tie, and you look on the back and you see like he's got the milk that got shot open, you know, so I'm wondering if there's going to be humor in this one. But anyway, art thief wanders into the wrong house. Moving right along to one with a really nice looking cover. This one's called Time Loop. What will have changed when they return? And it talks about how this guy goes to help his dad, who's a scientist, and he's working in a barn in the middle of Italy when they invent time travel. And once they invent time travel, there's 3 different versions of the same guy, all after one another, trapped in a time loop. So that always sounds interesting when there's, you know, multiple copies of yourself. But it says, chasing one another on Vespas. Okay, that's a little silly, right? Vespa chases. Anyway, time loop is, its disc is the same as the front there. Pretty cool little design for their time gate. Anyway, moving on to the last one. We're at the end already. That's crazy. Anyway, this last one is Uncanny, and you get this robot guy kind of floating in the air. And it talks about on the back that there's a reporter, and she's invited to this sort of, this tech guy's private laboratory. So right off the bat, it kind of reminds me of Ex Machina a little bit. But he's invented a robot man, an AI, named Adam, and apparently she is both amazed and revolted by what she sees in the secret laboratory. So yeah, it does sound a little bit like Ex Machina, but hey, curious enough to see what happens. Ex Machina was a really good movie, so I'm kind of curious to see, you know, what a low-budget film inspired by it would look like. But hey, what will happen? And also, the robot's a guy this time around, and so a little bit of a gender swap between the robot and the person that comes into the place there. But anyway, that is 8 horror movies, a heist movie, and 2 science fiction movies. Some really fun stuff, and I'm really looking forward to see, you know, what they're gonna be like. I mean, Haunted Fairground is a carnival movie, gotta love that. and Antrum, the idea of making a fake 70s movie. Some mockbusters in here as well, a Tony Todd movie, some true crime styled stuff. Yeah, a lot of cool things. None of the bigger movies, none of the A-grade movies, sadly, and no Blu-rays as well. But I feel like they got this round of DVDs out a little quicker than they normally do, so hey, if all you have is B horror movies, I'm still up for that. I really do like that stuff. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my hauls playlist. If you guys want to see the Dollar Tree hauls from the beginning, that's over 30 videos. Also a Big Lots haul, a Walmart Black Friday haul. There's quite a few things to take a look at. So if you really enjoy this, there's some content down there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.